What's up, you guys? The Curious Owl here, and welcome back to Top 5 Wednesdays. So, this week, since it is the beginning of October and the beginning of spooky time, this week's theme is to talk about books that deal with witches. Now, later in the month, we are going to be discussing a topic that involves more paranormal creatures, but witches kind of have their own category, as they are their own kind of paranormal creature, as they are typically humans that have magical abilities. So that's why they kind of have their own category and their own week for this week. So without further ado, these are the top 5 books that came to my head as soon as I thought of witches. The first book, if you guys really haven't figured that out by now, is Harry Potter. I mean, come on, that's like the first book that everyone comes to mind to when they think of witches, because witches and wizards are a huge part of the entire series. I mean, the whole series is surrounding around these 2 wizards and a witch that are a trio that basically go on adventures together and try to save the world, essentially. So the second book that I think will come to a lot of people's minds when they think about witches is The Wizard of Oz, because that one entails, you know, a young girl being swept up by a tornado, and she's kind of being persecuted by this wicked witch of the West who is out to really hurt her and possibly kill her. And so I think that a lot of people will really get that stuck in their minds, because that story is so well known. It's been well known for ages and continues to be one of the most amazing fairy tales of all time. Number 3 is another one that I think a lot of people may come to mind, but it might not be the first thing that comes to their mind, and that is the Night World series by L.J. Smith. Now, this series entails a lot of different paranormal creatures like vampires and werewolves, but there is at least one story I can think of, and I'm pretty sure it's in the first volume, that deals with a family of witches. Like, there's 3 sisters that all have magical abilities, and they're considered witches. And I remember vaguely reading that story when I was like in early high school, so I don't remember much about it, but I do remember that series specifically had all kinds of different supernatural beings, like I said, vampires, werewolves, but witches was at least one story was focused solely on a family of witches. Number 4 may be kind of pushing it a little bit, because they're not exactly called witches, but it is the casters that are in the Beautiful Creatures series by Kami Garcia and Margaret Stohl. Now, I say this might be pushing it because the casters are not exactly considered witches, but they have a lot of things that remind me of witches, and it basically, like, they have magical abilities, and there's 2 different kinds of casters. There's light casters, which are essentially the good ones, and then there's dark casters, which aren't necessarily inherently evil, but they're darker. But the casters themselves, the way that they describe them and the way they describe the abilities that the casters have individually is very, very reminiscent of things that I would see in witches. Not necessarily that they have wands or that they brew potions or anything, but the way that they're able to conjure up spells and read runes and things of that nature that, you know, some types of witches are able to do. For some reason, it just really reminded me of being similar to a witch, not exactly synonymous, but very, very similar to how witches are portrayed, even in much more modern kinds of paranormal fiction. And finally, the last one that I thought of is actually a book that I will be starting very soon, within the next couple of days, that I have been asked to read along with Off Tomes Publishing, and it is The Witches of the Glass Castle. And this one surrounds 2 siblings who are both witches, who find out that they are witches and end up going to this boarding school called the Glass Castle, and they learn how to hone their abilities and learn a lot about themselves and their family, and find out some very dark secrets that could possibly end up killing them. And that's as much as I know of the book. That's as much as that I was able to have received as far as a synopsis, but I'm very, very excited because this is a story literally surrounding 2 witches, so this is perfect for this theme. But there you guys go. Those are the top 5 books that I thought of off the top of my head when it came to witches. Let me know if you guys would agree with any of these as far as what I had picked, or let me know down in the comments below what you guys think of when it comes to novels or series that involve witches that would fit this prompt. Also, if you guys do want to follow the Top 5 Wednesday group and stay up to date with the topics for each week, I always in the description will leave the link to the Goodreads group that is basically running Top 5 Wednesday, and there you can find all the information about Top 5 Wednesday and all of the prompts that will be given for each month. So thank you guys so much for joining me in this video. If you guys did enjoy it, please do give it a big thumbs up, and if you're not already and you'd like to be, hit that button down below and subscribe to become an owlet in our flock, and I will see all of you guys in my next video. Bye guys!